I sit cross-legged on the hardwood floor in my parents' living room in Portland, surrounded by the artificial pine scent of Christmas morning and torn wrapping paper. My sister Chelsea, a 32-year-old woman, twirls a set of shiny BMW keys with her manicured fingers, the metal catching the twinkling lights from the tree as she pirouettes like a teenager. I cannot believe the sight. She squeals, bouncing on her toes, exclaiming, "My own Beamer!" Dad beams at her with pride that is unfiltered, while Mom clasps her hands beneath her chin as if she is witnessing a miracle. The glossy white car sits in the driveway, a testament to parental devotion, adorned with an enormous red bow that likely cost more than the money spent on my entire Christmas. Simultaneously, I stare at the plastic piggy bank shaped like a cartoon character I outgrew 25 years ago, which is resting in my lap. The price tag, which they forgot to remove, clearly reads $1.91. Mom urges me to open it, directing my attention toward the small rubber stopper located on the bottom. My fingers feel numb as I comply with the request. 2 crisp $1 bills flutter out of the bank. Dad announces with a dismissive wave that it marks the start of your future home fund, honey. He adds that I am always very responsible with money, not like some people, and winks toward Chelsea, who feigns offense. The silence stretches between us like taffy until Mom intervenes. Mom explains that Chelsea needs reliable transportation for her new graphic design clients, noting that those artsy types expect a certain image, you know. Chelsea drops onto the couch next to me, her costly perfume overwhelming my senses. She tells me not to worry, sis, promising to drive me around whenever I have a need. She pats my knee with a gesture of patronizing gentleness. She suggests that my little Toyota must be on its last legs by now. This is the same Toyota that carried me through 7 hours of mountain passes just yesterday. It is the Toyota I paid off myself 3 years ago. It is the Toyota that is more reliable than any relationship I have in this room. I find myself unable to breathe. 34 years of similar moments crystallize in my mind with clarity that is perfect. This experience is identified not as an anomaly, but as the consistent pattern of my entire life. Just this morning, I had meticulously wrapped the gifts I bought them. A leather briefcase for Dad that cost 2 weeks of my salary, the silver bracelet Mom had admired previously in a Seattle boutique window, and the professional camera lens Chelsea had casually mentioned wanting. All these items were purchased by setting aside a small amount from each paycheck over the course of several months. I had rehearsed my important announcement throughout the entire drive down from Seattle. I had been promoted to senior structural engineer, an achievement I earned through extra work conducted on nights and weekends, designing buildings that are intended to stand for many generations. I had imagined seeing their faces light up with pride. I hoped they would finally see me as more than simply Chelsea's responsible older sister. At every gas station, rest stop, and mile marker, I had whispered to myself, maybe this Christmas will finally be different. My hands tremble as I set the plastic piggy bank onto the coffee table. The plastic strikes the glass, creating a hollow sound. I manage to utter, "Excuse me." My voice sounds as if it belongs to someone else as I announce, "Bathroom." I walk, without running, up the stairs that are so familiar. I pass the wall covered in family photos, where Chelsea's face is dominant in every single frame. The bathroom door closes softly behind me before I twist the lock. My reflection stares back, my face overly composed and my eyes too dry. I press my palms firmly against the cold marble counter, waiting for the tears that refuse to come. Instead, pressure builds up within my chest, feeling like concrete hardening around my lungs. People frequently discuss heartbreak as if it were an abstract concept. It is not abstract. I feel each chamber of my heart contracting painfully, and my blood struggling to push through vessels that are narrowing. My sternum aches, as if someone has pressed a knee against it. I think to myself, this is what dying feels like. It is not dramatic, merely diminishing. I lie awake in my childhood bedroom as the night stretches endlessly, listening to the sound of Chelsea's laughter coming from downstairs as she and my parents continue planning her first road trip in the new car. I finally sit up at 2:17 a.m. I pack quickly, taking only the items that truly matter. The faded stuffed bear my grandmother gave me, the photo album from college, and the small wooden box containing my very first professional blueprint. The expensive gifts I have given them over the years remain where they are. I realize those gifts were never truly about gratitude anyway. The house is completely silent as I carry my suitcase down the stairs. My house key lies cold in my palm for a moment before I place it on the kitchen counter next to the coffee maker, which is set to brew in 3 hours. They have made their decision. Now I am making mine. Streetlights blur into halos of water as I navigate the empty highways. The dashboard clock reads 3:42 a.m. on Christmas morning. My windshield wipers fight against the snow that is thickening while Bing Crosby croons about white Christmases on the radio. I twist the volume knob until his voice fades away into silence. "Have yourself a merry little Christmas," I whisper to the empty passenger seat, my voice catching on the word merry. The deep irony of the situation burns like acid. My Toyota's heater struggles to fight the December chill as I drive through Portland's southern outskirts. The car is 7 years old and has 200,000 miles. This car carried me through college, my first jobs, prom at Oceans. It never once complained about mountain passes or parking spots that were tight. My car earned its place in my life, unlike the gleaming BMW sitting in my parents' driveway, complete with its ridiculous red bow. Around 6 a.m., my phone buzzes against the center console. I glance down to see Mom's face lighting up the screen. The message is not, "Are you safe?" or "Please come home," but simply, "Just did you remember to pay the electric bill for the cabin before you left Seattle?" That is the cabin they purchased for weekend getaways, which Chelsea uses exclusively for Instagram photos. A semi-truck passes me, spraying slush across my windshield. I drive blind for 3 terrifying seconds until the wipers succeed in clearing enough space to see. My hands shake against the steering wheel as memories flood my mind faster than the wipers can clear them away. I recall my 5th birthday, Chelsea's princess party, which featured professional decorations, pony rides, and a 3-tier castle cake for 30 neighborhood kids wearing party hats. My own celebration the following year involved a grocery store sheet cake, 2 friends from kindergarten, and party supplies sourced from the dollar bin. When I asked why, Dad explained that my sister needed the social stimulation, while I was more independent. I understood independent as code for "you don't need us." I remember high school graduation. I was valedictorian. My carefully crafted speech focused on dreams and persistence. The family section had empty seats because Chelsea's junior varsity soccer team had a game away from home. Mom promised, "We'll watch the recording," but the VHS tape remained unwrapped on my dresser until I left for college. Mom explained that my sister needed the encouragement and that I always succeed without their help. I understood "without help" as their code for "you're on your own." College years flash quickly before me as highway signs count down the miles until the California border. I spent college working 25 hours weekly at the campus cafeteria and bookstore, taking the maximum course loads to graduate early and stretching my scholarships and student loans. Meanwhile, Chelsea explored artistic inspiration across Europe, funded by our parents. Dad insisted during one of our infrequent phone calls, "Your sister needs to find herself. You've always known exactly who you are." I understood known who I am and as their code for "you don't deserve exploration." My phone buzzes again. It is Dad this time. I let it ring until the voicemail captures the message. The eastern horizon begins to lighten with the first trace of dawn, and tears cause the oncoming headlights to blur into golden streaks. I pull over onto the shoulder, hazards blinking, and press my forehead against the steering wheel. The patterns crystallize with sudden clarity. Dad controlled the money, bankrolling Chelsea's every desire while withholding from me. Mom manipulated emotions, making me feel selfish merely for wanting scraps of attention. It was the perfect system. One parent handled the financial favoritism and the other maintained emotional control. My phone rings again. This time, it is not family. It is Monica Perez, my college roommate turned lifelong friend. Her voice, warm and worried, fills the car through Bluetooth from somewhere in southern Oregon. "Where are you?" she asks. My voice sounds hollow, completely unrecognizable. I reply that I am heading south but have no idea where. The line is quiet for a moment. Then she says, "Come to San Francisco. Stay with me. Family doesn't treat family like this." Monica already knows the situation. She witnessed the evidence firsthand during college. The packages that arrived for me contained necessities that were practical, while Chelsea received clothing from designers. During the holiday breaks, I stayed in the dormitories because flying home was too costly. These were the same years my parents took Chelsea to Maui and Aspen. I protest that I cannot impose myself. Monica cuts me off, her voice becoming firm. "Stop! You've spent your whole life being the helper. Let someone help you for once." These words crack something open inside of me. Help is such a simple concept, yet it is foreign to my personal experience. In my family, help consistently flowed in one direction, toward Chelsea, toward my parents, and never toward me. I whisper, "Okay," surprising myself. Monica instructs me to text her my location every hour and to drive safely. She confirms that she is preparing the guest room. The call ends. I ease back onto the highway, the wipers clearing the fresh snow. For the first time since I departed Portland, my shoulders relax slightly from their defensive hunch. By 7:30 a.m., I cross the California state line. The "Welcome to California" sign gleams brightly in the early sunlight. My phone screen shows 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. With deliberate motions, I turn off notifications coming from Mom, Dad, and Chelsea. The silence that follows feels weightier than any accusation. My stomach growls, reminding me that I have not eaten since yesterday's Christmas Eve dinner. A small diner by the roadside appears ahead. Its neon open sign acts as a beacon in the morning light. I pull into the parking lot, which is nearly empty. Inside, the warmth instantly envelops me like an embrace. The air is coffee-scented, mixed with the sizzle of breakfast cooking on a distant grill. An older waitress with silver-streaked hair approaches my table carrying a coffee pot. "Rough night?" she asks, filling my mug without waiting for my response. Her name tag identifies her as Gloria. I mutter, "Rough life?" then feel immediate embarrassment due to the melodrama. Gloria does not flinch. She says, "Honey, I've been serving coffee for 40 years. I know heartbreak when I see it. Family or boyfriend?" "Family," I reply. She nods her head, sliding a menu toward me. Gloria says that blood determines relation, but love and respect are what create family. Her hand, weathered from work, rests briefly on mine. "The special is good today," she adds, "and it comes with extra bacon." I order the special and wrap my hands around the coffee mug. Gloria's words, "Blood makes you related. Love and respect make you family," reverberate as I watch the snowflakes dissolve against the window glass. For 34 years, I have been related to the Collins family. Perhaps it is now time to discover what being a part of a real family truly feels like. 3 weeks later, I am staying with my friend in San Francisco. My phone vibrates against the nightstand for the 13th time this morning. It is Dad's number again. I count to 10 before silencing the call, adding his message to the expanding cemetery of voicemails that I refuse to resurrect. During the first week, their messages expressed confusion. In the second week, they showed concern. Now, in the third week, they have morphed into something darker: manipulation disguised in parental authority. Dad's most recent voicemail thunders through the speaker when I finally check it. "Iris Elizabeth Collins, if you don't return this car immediately, I'll report it stolen. This childish behavior has gone on long enough." He is referring to the Toyota, my Toyota, the one that has my name on the title and 7 years of paid-off receipts. I crush the throw pillow against my stomach, trying to swallow the acid that rises in my throat. Mom's message follows. The doctor says my blood pressure is dangerously high because of the stress you're causing. Is that what you want? For me to end up in the hospital because you're being selfish? I delete both messages immediately without sending a response, although I admit that my finger hovers over the screen longer than I would like. My temporary safe haven in Monica's spare bedroom feels both foreign and familiar. The walls are painted a soft terracotta color that captures the morning light, warming the space in ways my Seattle apartment never managed. On the dresser, my laptop displays an email I have rewritten 14 times. It reads, "Dear Mr. Sanderson, I'm writing to formally request a transfer to the San Francisco office, effective immediately." My finger clicks the send button before I have a chance to reconsider the action. There were no favors called in, no family connections involved. Only my work record, my reputation, and my inherent worth as a structural engineer determined the outcome. 3 hours later, the approval email arrives in my inbox. Just like that, as though I have always possessed the capability to create my own path. Monica appears in the doorway, reading my expression, and asks, "You got it?" Her dark curls frame a face that is lined with genuine happiness for me. This concept, someone celebrating my accomplishments without making them about themselves, still feels foreign. "I start Monday," I confirm. "Now I just need to find a place." Monica grins broadly. She informs me that she has already called Andrea from her book club. Andrea manages apartments in the Mission District. They are rent-controlled and located in a safe building. It is only a 20-minute walk to my new office. I say, "You didn't have to." She interrupts me saying, "I wanted to." She drops onto the bed beside me. "Friends help friends," she insists, with no strings attached. She notes that this is a novel concept for you. I acknowledge that she is right. No strings, no obligations, no scorekeeping. The tears I have held back for 3 weeks threaten to overwhelm me. She adds that she also scheduled an appointment for me. She slides a business card onto my laptop. The card reads, "Elaine Levine, PhD, Family Therapy, scheduled for Tuesday at 4. I whisper, "I'm not crazy." Monica agrees with me. "No, but you've been carrying something heavy for a very long time. It might help to put it down somewhere safe." On Tuesday afternoon, I attend the appointment. The therapist's office smells faintly of old books and lemon furniture polish. Dr. Levine wears sensible shoes that make no sound on the carpet and reading glasses hanging from a beaded chain. She does not rush to fill the silences, choosing instead to wait while I struggle to form words that have never been articulated aloud. I finally utter the word, favoritism. The word hangs between us like a newly discovered planet that has defined my entire life. She asks, "And how did that make you feel?" I answer, like I was worth exactly $2. Later that same week, the apartment Andrea shows me is small, measuring 650 square feet, and features a kitchenette barely wide enough to accommodate a refrigerator. However, the windows face west, allowing afternoon sunshine to spill across the hardwood floors. By nightfall, the apartment is officially mine. I buy only a futon, a lamp, and a small desk. The resulting emptiness feels intentional rather than suggesting impoverishment. It is space in which I can grow. The following Saturday, Monica drags me to a community center. "Pottery class," she announces. She believes I need something that is neither therapy nor work. I protest initially until my hands sink into the cool clay, feeling it simultaneously resist and yield. The instructor, a woman with paint-spattered overalls and silver hair, stands behind me. She murmurs, "Don't force it. Listen to what it wants to become." My fingers tremble slightly as I attempt to shape something from nothing. By the time the class concludes, I have created a small bowl. It is imperfect, with uneven edges. I find it simultaneously hideous and beautiful, and it is entirely my own creation. The first video call comes 4 weeks after Christmas. I answer the call on the third ring, bracing myself against the familiar surge of guilt that their faces trigger. Dad immediately demands, "Where have you been?" His face filling the screen, red with indignation. He claims my mother has been worried sick. Behind him, Mom dabs at eyes that remain strategically dry. I answer calmly, "San Francisco." Mom interjects, pushing herself into the frame. "You transferred offices without discussing it with us first. How could you be so inconsiderate?" The old emotional pull tugs at my chest, urging me to apologize, placate, and make things right. But Dr. Levine's words echo in my mind. "Your feelings are valid. Their reactions belong to them, not you." I say instead, "I needed space." Dad barks back, "Space from what? From family? From responsibility? From growing up?" I reply, surprised by the stability in my voice. "From feeling invisible? From being valued less than Chelsea? From trying to earn love that should have been freely given?" Mom's tears flow instantly, right on cue. She asks how I could say things so hurtful when they have consistently loved us both the same. I tell her, "I'm not responsible for your feelings anymore." The words feel like stones I have been carrying in my mouth for years, finally released. "I'm responsible for mine," I state. Dad slams his palm against the table. "This conversation is over until you're ready to apologize," he declares. "Then I guess we're done talking," I answer, and end the call. In the days following, rumors begin to reach me through LinkedIn messages and texts from former co-workers. According to the family's version of events, I have suffered a mental breakdown. I am supposedly living in squalor. I have perhaps joined a cult. Chelsea's Instagram feed shows her looking concerned in tastefully filtered photos, accompanied by captions making vague references to family heartbreak and praying for individuals struggling with mental health. My new co-workers know nothing about this narrative. They only see my work, the precision of my calculations, and the innovation present in my designs. When Chelsea shows up unannounced at the office reception 10 days later, Monica happens to be dropping off my lunch. Monica coolly informs her that I am currently in a meeting, and that I will remain in meetings indefinitely for uninvited visitors. My therapy group meets every Wednesday evening in a church basement that smells of old hymns and coffee. 8 strangers are connected by similar emotional wounds. Raymond, a 60-year-old accountant who has not spoken to his brother in 20 years, states that family members are not given a pass just because they are family. He asserts that love without respect is not love, it is possession. These words settle in my chest, feeling like profound truth. 6 months after Christmas, my apartment has been completely transformed. Pottery pieces line the windowsills. Each piece is more refined than the previous one. A proper bed has replaced the original futon. The promotion to senior project manager came with a raise that successfully ended any lingering financial anxiety. On my bookshelf sits the plastic piggy bank. I have filled it with crisp $2 bills, 1 bill for each week of freedom. This serves as a reminder, not a punishment. It reminds me that sometimes the smallest betrayals are what reveal the largest truths. The first holiday season approaches, bringing both relief and dread. There are no presents required to buy that will go unappreciated. There are no performances to maintain. There is no diminishment to endure. It is just me in a space I have created, becoming someone I am finally learning to value. I realize I am worth far more than $2. A month later, an ivory envelope sits on my kitchen counter like a landmine. It remains untouched for 3 days. It is the wedding invitation for cousin Vanessa. My name, Iris Collins, is written in swooping calligraphy. It specifies no +1. I am expected to return to the family fold without an escort. "So, what are you thinking?" Dr. Winters asks, her office chair creaking softly as she leans forward. I trace the edge of the armrest, counting the brass tacks one by one. "I'm going," I say. Her eyebrows rise slightly, noting that this is a noticeable change from the previous week. On my terms, I quickly add. I have already booked a room at the Hilton, which is 4 blocks away from the venue. Dad called twice, insisting that I stay at their rental house with the rest of the family. And what did you say? She asks. Nothing, I reply, smiling as I recall the satisfaction of letting his voicemail fill up with increasingly desperate messages. The boundary is the message, I explain. 7 months of therapy has successfully taught me the vocabulary required for self-protection. 7 months have passed since Christmas drove me away. 7 months of rebuilding myself, 1 therapy session, 1 pottery class, and 1 peaceful evening alone at a time. During the session, my phone vibrates. It is Chelsea. This is the 3rd text message today. Can't wait to see you next weekend, it reads. We need sister time before the wedding madness. I slide the phone back into my purse without responding. Dr. Winters observes this. Your sister again, she notes. Suddenly we're best friends, I laugh, but the sound is hollow. She never texted this much when we lived in the same city, I note. What do you think she wants? Dr. Winters inquires. A ride from the airport, money. The old Iris who carried her emotional baggage along with her actual luggage, I suggest. I run my fingers over the fabric swatch resting on my lap. It is midnight blue silk for the dress I have commissioned. It required 3 fittings to ensure it hangs perfectly from my shoulders and skims my curves without apology. The color symbolizes power, not reconciliation. I tell Dr. Winters they've enlisted flying monkeys. Uncle Pete called last night concerning the necessity of families sticking together. Aunt Judith emailed me about forgiveness being divine. Even Vanessa's fiancé sent me a Facebook message. They are coordinating their efforts. And how does that make you feel? Dr. Winters asks. Before beginning therapy, I would have answered, fine, always fine. Instead, I trace the physical manifestation of my emotions, the tightness in my throat, the cold sweat appearing along my hairline, and the slight tremor visible in my fingers. Terrified, but also ready, I admit. Later that evening, I spread the seating chart across my kitchen table. Vanessa accidentally included it in a group email. There I am, placed directly between my parents and situated across from Chelsea. The family tableau has been perfectly restored. I reach for my phone. Vanessa, it's Iris. I have a small request about the seating arrangements, I say. Friday arrives, accompanied by San Francisco fog that burns away as my plane takes off. The clouds part somewhere over Oregon, revealing the landscape of my childhood. My heartbeat quickens as the plane begins our descent into Portland. The location of the rehearsal dinner glows golden against the twilight sky. I stand on the sidewalk, touching the smooth stone pendant that Monica gave me before my departure. Monica had said that strength is not the absence of fear. It is about feeling it and walking forward despite it. I straighten my shoulders and pull open the heavy wooden door. Conversations halt suddenly mid-sentence, and heads immediately turn toward me. My mother's hand flies up to her throat. My father's drink pauses halfway to his lips. I acknowledge that I have changed significantly. The Iris who fled on Christmas was merely a shadow of a person. This woman, wearing tailored black pants, an emerald silk blouse, and heels that announce each step with authority, is solid and present. The diamond studs in my ears catch the light as I scan the room, nodding acknowledgments without rushing toward anyone. Chelsea is the first to approach, arms outstretched. However, something about her is different. Her designer watch is gone. The highlights in her hair have grown out. Her smile appears strained instead of entitled. You look amazing, she says, embracing me briefly. Thank you, I reply. I step back slightly, maintaining the necessary distance between us. How's the BMW treating you? I ask. Her eyes dart away from mine. I had to trade it in, she says. Got a Honda. More practical, you know. Beyond her shoulder, I notice my parents huddled closely with Aunt Martha. Mother is dabbing at her eyes with a cocktail napkin. Father's shoulders slump forward in a posture I have never observed him take before. Cousin Tara appears instantly at my elbow, holding a vodka tonic. God, Am I glad you're here? She whispers quickly. You wouldn't believe the drama since Christmas. She leans closer and reveals that my parents are selling the house. They claim it is due to medical bills, but everyone knows they have been financially supporting Chelsea for years, and reality finally caught up. Before I can formulate a response, a waiter circulates the room offering champagne. I accept a glass and watch the bubbles rise and then burst against the surface. Just like the family stories, what rises eventually pops. Uncle Simon approaches, clasping my free hand warmly. You're looking well, Iris, he says. Well, that job in San Francisco must agree with you. Senior project manager now, I state, the word still tasting new on my tongue. His eyes widen with surprise. No kidding. That's wonderful. More relatives begin to orbit toward me throughout the remainder of the evening. Cousin Michael confesses that he always noticed how differently I was treated. Aunt Martha hugs me too tightly, whispering that my father lost his job 3 months ago and that my mother is taking medication for anxiety. I absorb each new revelation with the strange detachment of someone watching waves break against a shore from which they have retreated to higher ground. My father corners me during cocktail hour, the smell of bourbon heavy on his breath. Family sticks together, Iris. His voice carries the familiar weight of authority, but something essential has collapsed beneath it. No matter what does it, Dad? I ask him, meeting his gaze without flinching. Or do some family members stick together while others get pushed aside? His face pales noticeably. He insists, We've always supported you. $2 in a piggy bank. The words come out softer than I anticipated, but they land with precision. That was your definition of support, I clarify. He opens his mouth, closes it abruptly, then turns and walks away. In the ladies' room, my mother appears beside me at the sink, her eyes swimming with tears. We miss you so much, she says, reaching for my hand. I continue washing my hands, the soap slick and slippery between my fingers. I miss who I thought you were too, I reply. Back in the main room, Chelsea pulls me onto the terrace. The evening air brings the scent of roses from the garden below us. The BMW got repossessed, she blurts out suddenly. I'm drowning in debt, design clients dried up. Dad can't help anymore. Her voice cracks slightly. I don't know how to do this, Iris. I never learned how to stand on my own. This confession hangs heavily between us. 7 months ago, I would have instantly offered solutions. I would have offered money and a place for her to stay. The old Iris would have immediately added this new burden to her existing collection. Instead, I place my hand lightly on her arm. That sounds really hard, Chelsea, I say. I feel compassion for her, but no responsibility. This distinction took many months of therapy to successfully learn. I'm sorry you're going through that, I say. Her eyes widen slightly at my response. Compassion without rescue. I offer, I can help you make a budget, but I can't fix this for you. Over her shoulder, I see Vanessa, glowing in her pre-wedding excitement, surrounded by her bridesmaids. Tomorrow will undoubtedly bring its own new challenges. But tonight, standing on this terrace with the enormous weight of family expectations sliding off my shoulders like water, I realize that I am no longer afraid. I am the woman who chose to walk away from a lifetime of being diminished. I am the woman who constructed a new life from the very foundation up. Whatever the future holds, I will face it, standing firmly on the ground that is entirely of my own making. The following day, I stand in the bridal suite of the Magnolia Gardens. I watch as my cousin Vanessa transforms from a nervous bride into a radiant woman. The morning sun pours through the tall windows, casting a gentle golden light on everything. This light feels entirely at odds with the storm that is brewing inside my chest. Iris, your parents are looking for you, Aunt Martha whispers softly, her fingers resting gently on my forearm. They're in the library. Said it's important. I knew this moment was coming inevitably. 7 months have passed since I walked out of their Portland home. I left behind nothing but a note and a lifetime of built-up resentment. Thanks, Martha, I say, my voice sounding calmer than I actually feel. I'll find them after I help Vanessa with her veil. Martha's eyes soften. She mentions that they referred to it as a family emergency before the ceremony. Of course they did, I think to myself. 30 minutes later, the library door feels heavier than physics should permit as I push it open. Mom is seated ramrod straight in a high-backed chair. She already clutches tissues in her hand. Dad paces restlessly by the fireplace, his movements sharp and contained. Chelsea stands by the window. She is wearing a dress that cost more than my first month's rent in San Francisco, even though the repossessed BMW is not present. Iris, thank God, Mom says, rising with her arms outstretched. We need to talk as a family. I remain standing in the doorway. The ceremony starts in 40 minutes, I state. Sit down, Iris, Dad commands, gesturing to the empty chair that has been positioned to face all three of them. I recognize it as a staged intervention. This can't wait any longer, he insists. I close the door behind me with a soft click, but I do not move toward the empty chair. I'm listening, I say. Chelsea steps forward. Iris, this has gone far enough, she says. Dad lost his job 3 months ago. Dad quickly interjects to clarify that the company downsized due to budget cuts. Mom's been seeing a therapist for depression, Chelsea continues. This all started when you left at Christmas. Mom dabs at eyes that remain dry. We're selling the house, Chelsea finishes. I recognize this as the perfect trifecta. Financial crisis, health concerns, and guilt wrapped neatly together. 7 months ago, I would have crumpled under the weight of their expectations. I would have offered to help and apologize for something that was not my fault. Today, I walk toward the indicator chair. I set my purse beside it and sit down with my spine straight. I'm sorry to hear about your job, Dad, I say. And Mom, I'm glad you're getting help. My calm response registers as confusion on their faces. Chelsea's voice rises in volume. Didn't you hear what we said? They're selling the house because of you. No, they're selling the house because of choices they made long before I left, I counter. I remove a leather-bound photo album from my purse. I brought something to show you, I say. Mom frowns, saying they do not have time for this, as Dad called the meeting. I open the album across my lap. So we have time, I state. The first page displays 2 birthday parties positioned side by side. There is Chelsea's elaborate princess theme with hired entertainers, and my party the same year with a grocery store cake at the kitchen table. Remember these? I ask. I flip through pages showing Christmas mornings, graduations, and family vacations where the pattern of favoritism is unmistakable. I explain that I spent months compiling this evidence of what I always felt but was unable to prove. Dad's face flushes red. This is ridiculous. We always treated you girls equally, he insists. I pull out a folder containing bank statements. My student loans amount to $67,000, which I am still paying. Chelsea's education was fully funded, including her years spent in Europe for art inspiration. Chelsea shifts uncomfortably in her seat. That's not fair, she argues. You chose engineering. That was your decision. It was my passion, I correct her, just like art was yours. The difference is, my passion wasn't considered worth investing in. Mom rises from her chair, her hands trembling. We didn't have the money when you went to college. Things were different by the time, Chelsea, she tries to explain. I learned everything about your financial records years ago, Mom, I interrupt her. Dad's promotion came when I was 16. The inheritance from Grandma arrived before my freshman year. You had the money. You chose not to spend it on me. The room grows uncomfortably quiet as I lay out birthday cards spanning 3 decades. The messages directed to Chelsea overflow with effusive love. Mine contain reminders to work hard and practical advice. Dad finally breaks the silence, his defensiveness cracking. We always knew you'd be fine, he says. You were always so capable. There it is, the truth behind decades of disparity. Being capable doesn't mean I deserved less love, I state, my voice remaining steady even as heat builds behind my eyes. Being responsible didn't mean I should carry everyone else's burdens, I continue. Mom genuinely collapses into tears, which are not manipulative. She claims, "We never meant to hurt you." Intent doesn't erase impact, I respond. I reach into my purse one final time. The plastic piggy bank makes a hollow sound as I place it on the coffee table between the three of them. Dad stares at the object. "What is this nonsense?" he demands. I remove the small rubber stopper. Dozens of crisp $2 bills spill out. The unusual currency catches their attention. "I've saved a $2 bill for every week since Christmas," I explain. "This isn't about money. It's about what you thought I was worth." Chelsea picks up one of the bills, turning it over and over in her manicured fingers. Her voice lacks its usual defensive edge. "I never realized how it looked from your side," she admits. "They never taught me to stand on my own." Outside the library, relatives walk past, their voices faintly audible through the heavy door. In just a few minutes, they will gather to celebrate commitment and love, while our family confronts the decades-long absence of both. "I don't want apologies," I say, standing up. "I want change." I stipulate 2 conditions for considering reconciliation: family therapy and respect for my boundaries. Dad opens his mouth, clearly ready to argue. However, Mom places her hand firmly on his arm. "We'll do it," she says, surprising us all. "Whatever it takes." I gather the evidence and the piggy bank, but I intentionally leave its contents scattered on the table. "That's yours to keep," I tell them. A reminder of what happens when you value one child over another. Walking toward the door, I pause with my hand resting on the knob. "I need to take my seat for the ceremony," I announce. "My friend Monica is giving me a place." As I step out into the hallway, my back is straight and my heart feels lighter than it has felt in months. I overhear Chelsea whisper to our parents, "She's different now." She is correct. The woman who left that Christmas morning, carrying only grief and resolute determination, is gone permanently. In her place stands someone who finally understands that her own worth is not measured by what others believe she deserves. Instead, her worth is measured by what she resolutely refuses to accept. On Christmas Day, the sunshine streams across the hardwood floors of my San Francisco apartment as my friends gather around a dining table that truly belongs to me. The scent of sage and rosemary from the roasting turkey mixes pleasantly with laughter. This is real laughter, not the strained, forced kind that used to echo throughout my parents' house. Monica raises her glass, her dark curls catching the light from the window. She toasts to Iris. She praises me as someone who builds bridges better than anyone she knows, both in her career and in life. My cheeks grow warm in response to the toast. Exactly 1 year ago today, I placed a house key on a counter and drove away from everything that was familiar. Now, I stand in an apartment that is filled with people. These are people who choose to be here. I am surrounded by pieces of pottery I created with my own hands. Elliot raises his glass to add, "And to Senior Project Manager Collins." His fingers brush against mine under the table. His touch still sends electricity through me. It is not the lightning strike of infatuation, but the steady current of something that is building toward permanence. He praises my team for finishing the Richardson Tower project 2 weeks ahead of schedule. Elliot, an environmental engineer, understands both structural integrity and deadlines. He values sustainability in relationships just as much as he values it in buildings. 6 months ago, when he initially asked me out for coffee, I almost declined. Old habits of self-sacrifice are difficult to eradicate. Dr. Winters, my therapist, called it progress when I accepted his invitation. The kitchen timer rings, saving me from having to acknowledge their generous praise. I realize that some changes take longer to implement than others. "Need help?" Elliot asks, following me into the kitchen. I've got it. The words slip out automatically. Then I catch myself, recalling Dr. Winter's gentle challenge. Accepting help does not diminish my strength. I correct myself. Actually, could you carve the turkey? I never learned how. My phone vibrates with an incoming video call from Chelsea. Monthly calls are a firm boundary that we established following the wedding confrontation. I answer the call while Elliot handles the turkey carving. "Merry Christmas!" Chelsea says, her face filling the screen. Her apartment, visible behind her, appears smaller than mine. There is no luxury car parked outside and no designer furniture inside. Working 2 jobs has provided her with a new outlook on money, which is evident alongside the shadows visible under her eyes. "You look happy," she says, her voice sounding softer than it used to be. "Your place looks beautiful. It feels like home." I angle the camera to show her my pottery studio in the spare bedroom. Once formless clay, the pieces are now shaped into vases and bowls that line the shelves. "How are Mom and Dad?" I ask. Chelsea shares that Dad is 90 days sober today. He specifically requested that she tell me this news. Chelsea adjusts the camera to reveal our father sitting in a modest apartment living room. He looks somewhat smaller than before. Chelsea explains that the AA meetings are genuinely helping him. He is different now when he is not drinking alcohol. I nod, not feeling ready to fully process that revelation just yet. Chelsea continues, saying that Mom is still volunteering at the community center. Mom wanted to join the call but was busy with an emergency food drive. Chelsea pauses briefly. She mentions that they ask about me, adding, "Not in the old way, though." We talk for a few more minutes before saying our goodbyes. The wall clock shows that it is time for dinner. Around my table, conversation flows freely between Monica, Elliot, and friends from both my pottery class and my engineering firm. No one mentions the plastic piggy bank displayed prominently on my mantle. It is now filled with dollar bills that represent lessons learned rather than resentments. After we finish dessert, Chelsea texts me a photo of a handmade clay ornament. It is clearly her first attempt at pottery. The accompanying message says, "Not pretty, but made with love, mailing it tomorrow." Then, another message arrives, this time from my mother. Mom writes that she found the attached item while downsizing. She says it always belonged to me. The attachment shows a photograph of my childhood dollhouse. It was the one object I truly loved while growing up. Below the photo is the deed transfer paperwork. It officially makes the dollhouse mine. Later, after everyone has gone home and Elliot helps me with the final dishes, I step out onto my balcony. San Francisco Bay stretches out before me. Lights from the bridges reflect on the dark water below. Buildings that I helped design stand in silhouette against the night sky. "Worth isn't something you earn through usefulness," I whisper softly to the city lights. "It's something you claim by knowing what you will and won't accept." Elliot joins me on the balcony. He wraps a blanket around my shoulders to ward off the December chill. "Deep thoughts?" he asks. "Just grateful," I answer, leaning into his warmth. I conclude that realizing what one will no longer tolerate is sometimes the greatest gift of all. The piggy bank is visible through the window glass. It no longer serves as a symbol of what I lacked, but rather the courage I found to value myself first.